Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another live stream here on Kame Trick. This is the channel that bridges the gap between sim drifting and real life drifting. I drift in both of those locations and I make video content about both as well. So if that is something that you're into, this is the channel for you. Just going to welcome back our usuals and regulars. Neil, Koenigzag, Deluded, Eric, Jesse, Nahuel, Spiro, what is up? And Mike as well. Yeah, we started out with a little bit of mic issues, so I cut that just so we'd have a clean start. Hopefully everything is sounding good this time. And yeah, we're just going to jump into it. We are running a couple of new tracks tonight. And same as always, we're going to start with a YouTube live stream, and then in about an hour, jump over to Twitch. That is twitch.tv/KameTrick. So if you don't already follow me there, please do, and join me, and we jump over and we'll hang out on both platforms. Just got to pull forward here. That didn't exactly work out the way that I intended, as controls were locked now. We are at a track and it's got a name, and I don't even remember what it's called. It's there used to be an old version, NSR Drifting 2015. So I've never driven this track before. We're gonna see how it feels to do some sliding on. Also, we've got a new camera going on for this stream instead of showing my usual pedal cam. Although I can pull up the app, I always get requests to pull up the pedals app. So I'll pop the app up and put it on screen for you guys. Just discreetly over here next to the steering wheel. About right there. But it's a simple, tiny little track. Shaped, I'll pull it up on screen too, over here next to my steering wheel. It's kind of like a fidget spinner that's deformed and melting. Man, are those things still cool? I feel like those were cool for about 5 seconds, and then they ceased to be a thing. I'll just pull that over there. Jaden, what is up, man? TSC Mark, welcome back. Fred Ryder, good to see you, and Alex as well. Today, this is actually a really cool shirt, but you probably can't see it very clearly in this camera, I don't think. So it's got an 8-bit like trophy, right? And then it says, Achievement Unlocked Fatherhood. And I got this with a matching onesie for my little girl when she was born that said, Achievement Unlocked, New Character Created. So it's kind of fun stuff. Celebrating the fam. She's a year old now, guys. It's crazy. It's hard to believe. Doing well. Everybody's happy and healthy. But, yeah, just wild times. All right, we're going to check the audio here. You guys will have to let me know if that is too loud or if my mic balance is terrible. I recently did it's a little too loud for me. I'm going to turn that down a bit. I recently did a Touge challenge, and the audio on the Touge cars was, of course, different. So it's always a little dicey getting everything sorted out. Got the OTM boys lining up. Everybody lining up. I still don't know this track. I've never cut a single lap on it. So I'm just going to jump in the back. And we'll see what we get up to. straightforward little track. Should be quite easy for tandems. Plenty of room, plenty wide. I guess I ought to have gone at the third right there. I'll have to remember where that was. I'm gonna guess we can go up to third here as well. I tried to go for the pass because that was sort of a difficult transition to follow, but okay, that's pretty simple. I think I got the gist of that. How's everybody's week been? Oh man, I've just completed my second week back at work, and it's good to be back, but also kind of weird, I gotta say. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a lead run here and feel out the track some more before I get into tandem. Too far inside. Alright, I think this is the turn where I need third. Or maybe it's this one. It was this one. I did not give myself enough leeway. Also, I haven't upped the turbo power of the car yet, so let's take a second and do that. Alright, let's try this again. Understeer. Always like my drift cars to have... Not really. Understeer. Mid. Or on corner entry. That's just what we need. That's not much I need. So, if we want to connect this, we actually come in really tight on that section so that we can float out super wide and then still apply just a little bit of Ebrake there. And then we'll get around it in third. Easily shift down to second and slide in behind my homie Shadow Hunter. He's been pretty active on his YouTube channel lately, putting out all manner of content. He does iRacing as well, so if you check out his channel, you'll be able to see not only some drift content and some Touge content, as I forget to go up to third. Pretty cheeky little wall ride there. Double tap for good measure. Oh, utterly assassinated. You'll also be able to see some grip driving, circle track stuff, all kinds of random stuff. Dude, you are going way too aggressively. There is no need to plow into people like that. If you ever try to drift in real life, and you do that, you're going to end your career on your first lap. Oh, we're way too far inside. We're going to float it out. Time our transitions appropriately, except that I used too much angle there. Oh, wall tap gang. Oh man, wildness. Earflorex, the track info is in the Discord, so you'll have to join to see it. I think it's called NSR Drifting. Seth, what is up? Last week was alright. Just turned 20. Hey man, happy birthday. That's rad. Oh, I can remember turning 20. It was good times. You have a very solid 10, 15 years ahead of you. I'm not quite that much farther, or maybe I'm only that far, but like, it's good times. Enjoy that. A little cool but a little weird. Def sums it up here. True. Mark, you got your new wheel, very nice. Remind me, what did you end up getting? And what do you think of it so far? Let chat know. Chat always love talking about wheels. Thomas, any tips for someone who's just got used to playing Assetto? Just got the hang of the Shitoko loop. My first sim racer too. Alright, and you're on a TMX Pro. So, what sort of advice do we have for that? I mean, in a nutshell, this is a track with fairly... It's a drift track, first of all. And it's a track with, for the most part, all the turns are roughly the same speed. So, max out your turbo, drop into second gear, and call it a day, really. There are a couple places where you need third, like here, but you can always just do a little manji like that in order to make it work. Like drifting specific tips, I guess that's a whole nother story. A good thing about Assetto though is it's a pretty realistic game, so you can look for tips not only in other Assetto Corsa players, but you can watch real life drifting videos as well, because whatever works there generally will work in Assetto as well. Watch people's wheels on the watch people's hands on the steering wheel. That's always really good advice. And I guess last but not least, use the track map to see the little dots of other cars on track. Do not pull out in front of people. Drifters never pull out. No, I'm kidding. Wait for it. Just wait for there to be an opportunity, and certainly don't pull out in front of a train of cars. The server owners will kick you if you do that. Oh, that was not necessary. Also, let me know, guys, what you think of the camera angle for tonight. We're going to be doing different stuff. Lanua, yes, I do use the keyboard as a handbrake. Spacebar, real big, easy to hit, and basically, I actually have a good Ebrake. If you can see my shifter here, I've actually got one, you might be able to see it, I've got a normal pull-up style Ebrake mounted. However, it does not work presently. I'm doing some work on it, and I'm really in no hurry. I've been using the keyboard to cover for that, and honestly, it's so decent, I don't even feel that motivated to fix it. Like, it's just not a big deal to me at all. So, that's interesting. Mark up the T300. Yes, it is a night and day difference. 100%. Belt drive, man. Like, if you're doing grip stuff, I don't know if a belt drive is that big of a deal, but for drift especially, anything less than a belt drive is just not as good as it should be or could be. Spiro looks good on the over-the-shoulder cam, thank you. Yeah, honestly, the Amazon ones are pretty decent from what I hear. Cody, you made a stream. It's good to see you. It's been a minute. How are you? And yeah, the keyboard Ebrake is like, it's not a big deal. As long as you're able to position it, you know, like over here. So when I'm doing this, I'm not actually using it right at the moment. I'm just letting you guys see it. But if I... Oh, and I have to be not in my streaming view. So if I want to, if I need to, I don't actually need or want to right here. Oh, I will on this turn. Oh, especially now that I fucked it up. But it's quite easy to Do some e-braking with that keyboard. We'll take a couple of turns and slide in behind our OTM boys. I'm on fresh tires, so I should not have too much difficulty getting stacked up with them. In fact, the only difficulty I'm going to have is that I insist on using the stock gearing to where I have to shift up to third, and pretty much everybody that I've driven with in OTM and almost anywhere else where people are pretty solid drivers, they just adjust the car's gearing so that it's insanely easy to stay in second the whole time. Which I can't say that I blame them, there's nothing wrong with that approach. Since I don't end up remembering to use it, it takes me a while to get in position. Because they just leave me on the sections where I lose speed and time shifting up. If I shift up in advance, it won't be quite so bad. And there we go with that e-brake. Something like this. I hate having to do those hard shifts under power. I always prefer to set all my shifting up as part of a transition. Wow, that was kind of rad. I think that was John. Woo, little getting out of sorts. John just dives out of the way, and then we all stay and drift and trying to go around. That was rad. Oh, let's see. What have we got? Ruiners, I just turned off my rig. Yeah, man, 9 o'clock every Friday until about midnight, or in your time zone, whatever this time is. Like at the start of the hour, this hour, I'll always be out sliding. I do hear good things about the Amazon e-brakes. I mean, like, they're cheap. I don't know how reliable they are, but they seem to work great as far as initial usage. Does the fact that the keyboard e-brake is basically binary mess with me? Not really. I mean, my good e-brake that's busted is on an axis. But I mean, think about what you use the e-brake for in drifting. It's a pretty binary action. Like, most people pull the e-brake up with the intent to lock the rear wheels, so you don't really need modulation when you do that. You can still modulate it by just like tap, 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 or pull, pull. And that's what a lot of guys do. That's what I do as well, is you'll see people, if they want to extend a long drift and they don't want to flat spot the tires as badly, like you move the flat spot around by going pull, 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 and also that little off e-brake section lets you extend farther down because you do slow down every time that you're on e-brake. Alex has made a DIY e-brake. Yep, that would do it. Spiro says, I want a sim rig, but I also want an IRL drift car. That's a tough one. Real life is, of course, like, very dynamic, and it feels really awesome. And, like, I think Spiro's in Oklahoma, if he's the user I'm thinking of that messaged me recently. But even if not, like, if there's a good scene in your local area, it's even more tempting to get a real car. But sim is pretty nice because it generally doesn't break. I say that, and I've actually had my e-brake break. For the most part, though, like, there's no cost once you get your sim setup working to continue driving. So, like, I only drive a couple times a week, but I could drive every day, and there's no way I could drive even once a week in my real car. I can't afford that many tires. Yeah, what's up, dude? You're in Tulsa. I'm out in OKC, so yeah, hopefully we'll get to meet up at an event soon. DC, what is up? I can't live anymore without my TSS Sparko. Andrew, bind a return to pits button in settings. Yes, Shubham, you have to have Content Manager set up, and then there's a setting in Content Manager that doesn't exist in the regular Steam launcher where you can do a teleport to pits button. I have it in one of my videos. Look at my playlist for how to get into AC drifting, and it's the one that talks about Content Manager or keybinds. I think it's the third one that talks about keybinding. Alright, we'll go cut a few more laps. Always like to take a break, see what is up with chat. There should be a group coming through. We've got OTM, Tandem, Rema, and A to Z. I'm just going to cut the track a little bit. Let's get caught up. We're not that close, but we're just gonna send it up against the wall here, down to second, and we'll catch back up mid-corner here. Time the transition, and that should be everything that we need to lock back in. Point, it's mostly about your transition timing. Just barely enough power to make that work. It's like the thing that I've been continuing to work on. Oh, locked up the front wheels. Too much left foot brake and you actually cause the car to cut really hard inside. It basically feels like it's a spin situation all of a sudden. It's very difficult to sense for that in sim. And it's terrifying when it happens to you in real life. You're like, oh damn it was all my fault. But it can cause you to just turn right into the door the guy that you're following, so you got to be careful. It's kind of sketch on the transitions there. The closer you get, sometimes the harder getting that right can become. Staying on the inside and e-braking out. They're kind of strafing the car. And we're really shooting for matching up our transition timing on the lead car, or in this case the 3 lead cars. I want to transition as close to identical with the guy in front of me as I can. That was not it. If you do that correctly, rock it back into place here, then it will allow you to get, oops, set up pretty well. Oh shit. I'm sorry guys, I didn't think there was a second train, and I figured maybe if I ran through the pits I'd be able to jump back out into the crew I was already with. Oh no, Kaboom Designs is throwing down the gauntlet. No e-brake gang, rise up. Hey man, if you've got a keyboard where you can type that in, then you've got a keyboard e-brake. You may just choose not to use it. Pop a 360 drift. Thomas, I can go do that. I'll do that next run. Mike Jones, I'm using R1 on controller beside me. Nice. Andrew, the map that I am drifting, yes, it is in the Discord. Aaron, okay, I missed a comment earlier, and so I'm getting mixed up. I thought, wow, chat all of a sudden picked up. Seth says, I've just been using a shift paddle button on my wheel as a handbrake and knowing by feel when it lands on my finger when the wheel is spinning. That is gutsy, sir. I would not be able to do that, but if you can, then more power to you. Sparko is so cool and insanely priced, though. Yeah, truth. I mean, Sparko, as far as a name brand product go, they can charge a lot just for the name. So it could be that. Sparko seats being FIA as well are more expensive than seats that are not FIA that happen to look very, very similar. This looks like years of practice. I mean, a little bit. Just a few. Spiro, do you feel like you've gotten better at drifting by using the sim rig? I do, yes. I can elaborate on that when I go back out on track. And then Johnny XR7, I just learned that you can use an analog stick as a handbrake. Yeah, man, you can use a joystick or an analog stick for sure. Fancy Mama, no clutch gang. I don't clutch kick a whole lot, especially when I get a car that has enough power that it's not necessary. So like anything with a JZ motor, you generally don't have to clutch kick once you initiate. V8 cars, obviously, you don't have to clutch kick. Inline fours, though, you do have to give them a little bit more help. So, all right, so 360 entry, and has drifting in sim actually helped me? I do think that the better of a driver you are when you start, like the more real-life drifting skill you already have, the less you will learn from sim, and or the longer it will take you to learn from sim. I'm just chatting here as we go. So like, I mean, that's kind of obvious, but it's a universal rule about any sort of performance or skill-based anything, I suppose, really, any type of skill. Like, basically, the more that you know, the harder it is to learn new things, because there's just less new things for you to pick up. When you're a beginner, you can make a ton of progress super easily. I'm going to try to throw a 360 for chat, and there's a guy following me, so we're probably going to get killed, but let's do it. A little too early, and also caught the barrier. So like for me, I was pretty good at drifting when I got into sim. I was already able to tandem, not super close, but like I wouldn't get less than a car length from people. But I could get pretty much nose to tail with people on transition, where we'd almost kiss on transition, but I wouldn't necessarily get into people's space a whole lot. There were only a couple of videos that I have where I was like definitely really getting up on the doors. Well, too much. So yeah, it took like probably over 6 months for me to figure out how to be as good and as aggressive in sim, because there's less information to work with. I say this a lot, although I haven't said it in my edited videos too much really, but in my live streams I say this all the time, that your sense of motion and weight shift in real life is one of the most essential tools in order to do what you need to do. And so not having that in sim, it takes a long time to figure out how to like use visual cues to cover for the gap in kinesthetic feedback, or like just feeling the car drifting about that you would normally have. There we go. 360 entry for you. What else can I say? Yeah, so it probably took me like 8 months to start getting about as decent in sim as I was in real life. And then it took a couple more months for me to start really making improvements. So, in my case, it took quite a long time. Some of that's maybe just my ability to adapt compared to others. Oh, I went for the big backy too much. But I'm definitely tandeming closer. Like, you can go back and look at my IRL drifting, and I call out what my, like, I think it's called rowdy grassroots drifting or something like that. But it was from last year, and it is the best tandems that I've ever really documented, and it's pretty much the top level of tandem skill that I had at the time. And I mean, it was pretty solid, honestly, but that's not as good as I could do every event, and I'm closer than that in sim now. Now, granted, bringing that sim knowledge to real life, I may still choose to hold back, but I should be more composed. You know, if you're comfortable, put it this way, if you're comfortable drifting here, then you should feel like you are very chill and comfortable drifting here. So that's the goal, you know, is to get to where my 100% is so good that I can be drifting at 85%, and then I've got a good safety margin to prevent me from sending it into the back of some other driver. Jump out and follow Brandon B in this four-door. I don't know that I've tandemed with Brandon before, so we'll see what he's got. He is doing okay to link the track. Doesn't look like he's quite got his transitions and stuff figured out, at least on this particular run. So he's having to, you know, crab walk the car a little bit and make some adjustments. It's all right. But still, clearing the track and keeping it off the walls is your first level goal. And that's where you got to start for sure. This is kind of like if you do want to tandem at a party event or with like somebody new, give yourself some time, watch them drive for a little bit. See not only what kind of line they tend to take, but also try to figure how decent they are, as well as how decent they are doing right at this moment. Because no matter how good or how new you are, you still have good runs and bad runs, or good sessions and bad sessions. So that's also something to watch out for. If the driver, and that's how you avoid wrecks, basically, is take your time and then creep up on people when you're both comfortable. But you can kind of like wait and see, and you can just sense it, honestly, when a driver that you're following is really, if you can drive with them a little bit, you kind of know how they drive, you can sense when they are really having like a breakthrough run, or they're just at the top of their game, and then you can push the hardest if you also are feeling really solid. Oh, we're going for the 360 by accident. Got the wall. Does clutch kicking hurt the transmission, or is it more of a myth? No, Spiro, you're fine. It's always nice to be able to ask people who have more experience about anything, so yeah, ask away. I mean, it can, but it generally doesn't for drift cars. So, in a nutshell, with anything that's sending a big load of power through the drivetrain, your first point of failure is usually the tires. So if you have regular street tires on a car, for example, you can clutch kick all you want, because the tires are just going to let all that force go right through, and they're not going to resist the traction. But if you have really sticky tires like Bridgestone Potenza, what is it, RE71s, or Dunlop Dureza Star Specs and stuff like that, if you have max or ultra performance summer like autocross tires on a car, and you clutch kick with that, then you're more likely to put force into the tire, and the tire's going to grip the road and say nope, and then that force is basically going to back channel up through the transmission, and it's more likely then that you're going to hurt something drivetrain wise if you have a really grippy tire, because more of that stress actually stays in the drivetrain, whereas if it's a very slippery tire, it just goes right through, and the drivetrain isn't going to notice. That being said, specifically in drifting, a lot of times when you clutch kick, you're already sideways. The tires are already spinning, and a spinning tire makes a ton less traction than a tire that is gripped up. Just like if you've ever locked up the brakes in a car that doesn't have ABS, you'll feel as soon as the wheels lock, the car it almost feels like the car accelerates, because the tire was slowing the car down when it was gripping the road, and then the moment that it locks, it loses so much traction. So in the same way, for that same reason basically, when you are already drifting and you use clutch kicks, because the tire's already sliding, even if it's a more aggressive tire, there's not as much traction there when it's sliding, so you'll be less likely to hurt stuff. That's the gist. Tends not to be a problem. Yeah, we got that 360 in. Eric, as someone that doesn't have any real-life drifting experience, do you think that getting a sim would help with getting the fundamentals? Yes, absolutely. There is a lot of hand-eye coordination. There's a lot of muscle memory. When you are drifting, you have to be used to using pretty much one hand to... When you tandem, you have to be used to using one hand to drive. One hand is hovering between the wheel and the e-brake, and the shifter, really. And then your feet, you're going to be using probably 2 pedals per foot, not constantly, but you tend to be using 2 pedals at a time a lot as you get into higher level stuff. And even just to learn to pay 60 or $100 to go to a real life drift event in a car that's not very well prepped, that doesn't handle the way like a good sort of drift car should, it's going to take you a while to learn. First event, I wouldn't count on doing anything more than linking the track if you're decent. And in sim, you can get past a lot of that BS. And so, like, for me, the quality progress that it's harder to learn in sim is, like, the more difficult stuff. So, getting the fundamentals down, in my opinion, getting the fundamentals down in a simulator and then going to real life, like today in the modern world, I didn't have that option. I had to learn in real life. But it would be like, do I want to go to Ebisu and try to learn how to drift there, or would I want to get pretty good in America or your home country and then go to Ebisu to drift? Like, I would say wait until you're able to link tracks before you spend all the investment to go drift Ebisu. At least for me as an American, there's a lot of tracks. It's pretty easy to own a car and modify it. Some countries I know are pretty strict about that, but that would be my general advice, is yes, if you put aside the money, even if you have to throw $1,000 at it, building a good sim with a belt drive wheel to learn how to drift and learn your fundamentals is still less money spent overall than going to a real events and learning, more slowly, honestly. Like 3 times, 4 times of real life drifting, and you could have bought a sim that was pretty good. White Trash Mofo, are we sim drinking this evening? A little bit of both. I've got water on one side, and I've got some, what do we call this? Upgunned cola on the other. Can I use the FOB calculator? Yeah, I can. I did use an FOB calculator on my setup. I think I've tweaked it a little bit out of what was ideal, but for the most part, the only thing that I've adjusted isn't the view distance. It's the angle of these side monitors. But yeah, I've fooled with that some, and I can fool with it more. Joseph, I wish I could be there drifting, but unfortunately I'm not at my sim-rig PC. Yeah, man, it's we're always out and about, but I got it. At least you can enjoy watching a little bit. Diluted, we have the first event of the year at Shenandoah tomorrow, real Matsuri. When is the first event I'm going to drive? It's going to be a while. it is going to be a while. We had our first event locally last, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. I have my car pulled apart, and I was really lazy and unmotivated for the start of this year for IRL stuff. Unfortunately, the sim is so good that, honestly, I was just happy to drive in it, and I wasn't all that excited to fix the real car. So I've delayed and dallied on ordering a few things and repairing a few things. But I just sent off my wiring harness for repair, and I'm going to tear into the motor and put things back together soon. So I hope that I will be out on track, what is it, June? I hope I'll be back out on track in August. If it ends up taking less time, great. If it takes longer, okay. And I will try to get out to events before then, and people will probably let me drive their cars, so we'll get some footage, but I won't be doing like super hardcore stuff when I won't be doing super aggressive stuff in a borrowed car, obviously. But that is the gist. I do have some work to do, and I'm excited as well to see. I'm not gonna push crazy hard because I don't want to break the real car and have to fix it. That sucks. But it would be nice to be able to give it a shot and comment on, you know, now that I've got all these sim hours, and I definitely feel like I've gotten better, to say like, yeah, for sure I did, and like go demonstrate that and document that in video for you guys would be really cool. Canadian WDTS all night? Yes, that is affirmative. We are WDTS fam. Joseph Diaz, input 350Z. E36, E46. I mean, either of those three are excellent. Thomas, you gotta sleep. Right on, man. Thanks for tuning in for a little bit. You can always catch the VOD later, and I'll have more edited videos coming out soon as well. So take it easy, man. Have a good night. Sphero, what ECU am I running? I'm actually running a stock LS ECU. I just had it modified to turn off like a few things. The anti-theft, the rear O2 sensors, because those are not, they're just not in swap kits frequently, and the 2 O2 sensors is a little bit of money. We're just gonna cheat. Stock ECU with a couple things disabled from like safety and anti-theft standpoints. I don't have to worry about my car because its anti-theft device is just being broken constantly, it seems like. It actually is a very reliable car. It usually doesn't break, but last year was just a weird year. We were having our little kid, and that was the year the car decided that just everything was going to die. So I got not a lot of seat time the second half of the year. It seemed like I spent more time fixing the car than I did driving it, and usually I'm just busy driving constantly. Traction stuff there. Sometimes the cars just like lose grip mid-drift in a way that I don't expect. Hey, there's Broad Rider. I've not gotten to get out behind him in a minute. Inside right now. I'm just going to make sure we don't hit. Check up, make some room, just wait until we can get a good transition. case, we never did get a good transition. We're just kind of like creeping up slowly anyway. Oh god. Had to bail. It was not pretty. There's a decent transition. Neither of us really snapped to angle. There's a okay transition. Ooh, too far outside. God, my car is not happy at this gearing. Oh, I was afraid of that. Just got a little too close, and thought I'd see if I could ride it out. We could not. That was less than ideal. Come out behind John here. We're going to start with our usual. We're going to size up our lead driver. We're going to see how they're doing on this particular track, this particular day, make sure that they're in a good spot. And then from that we can judge just how close do we feel comfortable getting. Case, not that close, and that's okay. We're just going to catch different folks in tandem with them and make some commentary. Here's a train of 2. No, a train of 3. Track map. Dropped one off. So we've got Revco, and the curse has activated. Noob Drifter and Ronan with the Devil. Ronan I have driven with before. I always like seeing that screen up in chat. And on the game as well. Just a cute little fun. I dig it. These gentlemen are fairly solid. Well, Ronan is definitely pretty solid, and I assume based on his ability to have proximity with Noob, that Noob is actually not a Noob Drifter. Not bad. Just want to say, Alex, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sending it. Welcome, welcome. Anybody who is watching that has not yet subscribed, my channel is all about drifting. I drift in real life, and I make videos about that. Drifting in the simulator, obviously. And if you want to learn about the differences and similarities between the two, this is the channel for you. So feel free to send it. By sending it, I mean click subscribe. When you see the alert, you'll get it. Oh, he's moving quick. So we're gonna go after this larger car. We're gonna cheat because we're trying to make entertaining streaming content for you guys. I think this is user Fildo from what looks to be the land of Oz. that was a case of needing to bail. He bailed, and I decided to sort of try to stay with him and drift. Did not reinitiate though. So we're going to catch up with Snoopy. Hopefully let him lead. And we'll see what some of that looks like. Mark has jumped in front of me, so we'll be third. Third is about as far back as I like to be in a train. Second is really nice. Third is okay. And much farther back than third is kind of a mess, honestly. And that is someone doing a stoppie around the stadium seating. That was pretty cool. Oh god, the car has no power. We're just barely able to keep it in drift through that section. But am I going to adjust my gearing? No, because I'm a lazy one. That is a time. Always check your rear view before you throw a 360, which is funny because I throw 360s anyway, but kind of feel like people should know that there's always a risk that I'm going to go for a 360. In my stream, it's kind of thing we make it a point to do is throw a gnarly backy and a 360 entry at least once on every track. Window to the wall. Get ready on that Ebrake. Now, I will say having a keyboard Ebrake positioned where mine is. Woo. Oh, no contact. We're safe. Oh god, the train is coming apart. Having a keyboard Ebrake, though, can be a little difficult because if you know that you're going to have to use it, it's not a hard thing to get in position for. But when you just end up in situations like I just was, oh no, that was a bad call. See there, I went for it and I hadn't finished my counter steer. I was hoping the wheel would carry through. It did not. So sometimes stuff goes sideways like that. JXCKEU, thank you for checking out the stream and sending it by joining the channel. I appreciate that. Ram, do you know a good wheel to replace the broken G27 for cheap or repair it? I don't know a whole lot about that. I really recommend the Thrustmaster 300, which is a fair bit more expensive, I'm pretty sure. Although G27s right now are going for mad money, so you might actually be able to sell it for a pretty decent price simply because so many people are trying to get those. Koenigsegg at some point, doesn't have to be on stream, 20-second clip for Slap's top 10 drifts. Yeah, that'd be cool. I guess send it my way. I'd be curious to see it. Ryan says, "What is up?" Yeah, dude. Good to see you. I'm just enjoying another Friday. What time is it here? It's just turned 10 o'clock. So yeah, we've got 2 hours to go on our streaming. It's going to be a good time. Alex, my triple monitor setup is 3 curved 32-inch 2K monitors. So I'm running 7680 by 1440p, and it is gorgeous. It's also a single PC stream. So that's pretty challenging because my one PC is rendering 3 monitors, a Brio, a C920, and then putting all that out. So I was actually going to try to use my DSLR, but that was over the top and it would just never work very well. Some Invader, sometimes welds break on diffs, but it's all good. Just goes back to normal and makes some noises. Yeah, welded differentials are fine. Not all welders are created equal. Sometimes people don't do enough work there, but in general, welded diffs work, and they're so cheap. You do need to be a little bit careful like, just drive responsibly in the rain and in the snow, but honestly, welding the diff gives the rear of your car more traction. People always think it makes it slide more. It actually gives it more traction. The problem is, once it starts to slide, it takes it longer to grip back up sometimes. Zord Gaming, what is up? Hello, hello. Chat's getting a little spammy. It'll do that. Hopefully we'll get through it and it won't be quite so bad. Oh. We're doing some donies with the bronies. It's gonna be awfully hard to do like that. This shit is so fun in real life. Oh no! And nobody's coming on track either. So we can just jump right out. Get some driving in. It's been a little while, it feels like, since I've got to tandem with Goro Polo or Road Rider in the stream chat. However, we did get to do some grip racing recently because I started up a Touge Battle series on the channel as well. So he's one of our competitors. Maybe a stand-in competitor, I forget, but either way, I'm pretty sure that he participated in our last Touge battle. Ooh, with the backwards entry, or transition, I suppose you could say. Zag making up the caboose of this train, working on proximity, working on being aggressive, and still working on the challenge of reading two cars, because when you are not the second car in a tandem train, if you're the third car, for example, it doesn't only matter what the guy in front of you is doing. I don't know if we were supposed to do a burst pass right there or not, but we basically did. Yeah, if you're the third guy in a train, you need to watch the first and the second car, which is hard because in close tandems, the second car almost completely obscures the first car. However, what you're going to be looking for is issues with transitions taking too long, or lines being off. Basically, you don't want to be looking at the second car and be surprised if they make a pretty big adjustment that they wouldn't do if they were in the lead. Ooh, I sent that way too hard. So that's always a skill to build. No matter how good you are, everybody's always working on that. Yeah, I guess I'll follow. Come out. Nope, he decided to bail. Okay, well, I guess we won't. I will lead for a little bit. So I haven't worried too much about my line on this track, but I'm going to attempt to take outside lines. Just to make myself real easy to follow. It's too much of an outside line. Mess that up. Had to grab Ebrake for a second. I generally believe that if you're putting the car in the right position, which I don't usually run super outside lines, so I'm messing up a lot because I'm trying to improve my skill. And sometimes there's only one way to improve your skill, and that's to fight through the suck until you figure out how to do something right. But trying to work on getting those big outside lines figured out and a little bit better. Although I probably won't use the maximum outside line that I'm trying to work on if it's making me mess up very much, because at that point I would rather just do a little bit more solid stuff for the stream, as well as for my chase driver. Was not prepared for the 360, but that is the gist of it. And for those of you guys who are not familiar, that's my real life drift car. It is an S13 240SX red, very fun. Josh Ray, well done on that. It was a great watch, especially the full send. Yeah, that was pretty good. Oh, Koenigsegg, you're fine, not to worry at all. Good discussion in chat as always about gear. And at this point, we are ready to make the jump over to my Twitch channel. I am trying to grow a new channel, a new platform, and that is Twitch. So if you guys are on it, or if you're interested in checking it out, I would love to have you join. Right now the channel is small, and all that we can do is take followers. But if you guys want to come over there and help make it one of the biggest Twitch Assetto Corsa channels, at least for during the active stream, now is the time. Check the description, it is linked in there. It's twitch.tv/Kame Trick, same as the channel name here. So I'm gonna take about 5 minutes, switch my stuff over, and I will see you there. Thank you guys for watching as always, and until next time, have a good night. Peace.